welcome back to World Cricket Chat, and we are back at our favorite place for the umpteenth time. I've lost count. How many times, Suneer?
Probably 3 or 4 times.
Cool. I will count and I will check. But that's not the purpose of this video. The purpose is that we are going to discuss the second test that's just gone between South Africa and India, where I was hoping...
And the third test as well.
And the third test as well. And I was really hoping to say that it's 1-1 in the series or it's a 1-0 still to South Africa, but it's not happened.
It's not happened, and would have been interesting going into the third test match, a Wanderers test match where the pitch is expected to be a bowler-friendly pitch with the series still alive, but it's a dead rubber. A lot of it still to be played, lot of test match, lot of cricket still to be played. But when you look at it from a series point of view, a team down 2-0, number 1 in the world, expected to do better this time overseas, haven't even scratched the surface, so to say. It's been a disappointment.
It has been a disappointment, but before we get to the third test, and I'm still keeping my fingers crossed for that one, let's just begin right at the beginning of this second test when there's a toss and we get to know the team and we get to know that the best player, the best bowler, is not playing for India. He's been dropped. It's not an injury. It's not like a Saha thing that's happened that we now have Parthiv Patel in. But it's actually, he's been dropped.
He was dropped, and it was a surprise move. I think the rationale might not be the best rationale, but the only thing I can think of is that Kohli reserves Bhuvneshwar Kumar as a horses for courses bowler and not his strike bowler. He plays Bhuvneshwar Kumar in conditions that he thinks will be right for Bhuvneshwar Kumar, which I don't think is the right way of going about it. When you talk about a bowler that has done well over a sustained period of time, it's not as if Bhuvi bowls at 125 kilometers an hour anymore. He's been bowling at regularly at 130 to 135 kilometers an hour. He's been bowling probably quicker than Vernon Philander, and we've seen how Philander is. He did not get a lot of wickets in the second test match where the conditions were not favourable for him, but he maintained his discipline, and there were a couple of wickets towards the end, and he ensured that the runs did not come by too easily as well. So you can't pick and choose test matches for your strike bowlers, and for Bhuvneshwar Kumar to not get selected in that match, and that this is just the bowling we are talking about. He was one guy who batted the most number of balls for India in that opening match, and in those conditions where it was difficult to bat on, the Indian tail, lesser said the better about the Indian tail in both the test matches. Actually, they struggled to get going apart from that first innings of the first game. I think very difficult to fathom.
Isn't it the lesser said the better even for the top order of India's batting? No, hardly any partnerships, strange runouts. There was just a lack of basics that came through. I mean, seriously, Suneer, wouldn't you agree, not grounding your bat? I know India got a couple of really good runouts themselves of the South African players, but at the end of the day, that's their mistakes, but India's were pretty basic. Some of the catches, not going for a catch. So I feel like I'm venting here, but
it's actually your frustration is probably omnipresent across all Indian fans, and when you lose, losing and winning, as I tweeted earlier as well, is a part of sport.
Yes,
losing 2-0 is also a part of sport.
Yes.
Teams come to India and lose 2-0. India has not been good enough, and we have seen in the past as well. India were not good enough, they lost. The problem is not with losing. The problem is the way you play. The problem is, and I'll quote some of these captains. I'll quote some of the MS Dhonis and some of the Virat Kohlis and the Ravi Shastris. It's about the process, as they always say,
and intent.
And intent. So the process and intent were pretty negligible. When you run like that, when you run without grounding your bat to begin with, as Pandya did, when you talk about what Pujara did across both the innings, becoming the first Indian batsman to get run out twice in the same test match.
Taking Pujara wanting to take a third.
As I said, Pujara was dropped in West Indies for not showing a lot of intent. I think he's going to get dropped for showing too much intent. Probably not for that reason alone, but his average overseas has not been great. In non-Asian conditions, he averages about 28, if I'm not wrong. And you got to do better as a number 3 batsman, and Pujara has not been able to do that. So, for all you know, Pujara might get dropped for the next Test match, and you have Rahane coming in his place. A lot can happen, obviously, with Kohli's mindset, with his horses for courses selection policy. I'm not very sure, but when you play like that, well, you deserve to get dropped. We're talking about the openers. Chopping and changing did not help. Obviously, that was a huge issue. KL Rahul had just come in. But the 2 shots that he played, they were soft dismissals. The first innings, you try to cut a ball which is short and wide. Yes, you go for it, but you need to go for it with some vengeance. There's a cotton bowl. Tap back to the bowler, to Moni Mokel. I mean, those are dismissals that don't behoove of a number 1 team, I think.
So what would, in all of this, do you think the pitch has some role to play in all of this?
In the second Test match,
Yes.
no. Because the pitch was as similar as one could get to an Indian condition in a place like South Africa. I don't remember any such pitch for a long time being dished out by South Africa, Australia, England or New Zealand. There was one series in 2006 in South Africa where in the third Test match, it was India had posted 400 odd, and South Africa replied with something similar, and India had to bat out one day, and the pitch was a turner. It was turning on the fourth day of the third and the fourth day of the match. And the way Rahul Dravid and Tendulkar played was very surprising. They defended Paul Harris and allowed South Africa to come back into the match. That was one pitch that I remember was closely similar to what you will find in the Indian conditions. But to get such a pitch and then to make a mockery out of it, to bat the way you do, to bowl, well, you can't really blame the bowlers. They did their part, but I think the batting has to shoulder a lot of that blame.
And we must, in all of this, have to praise South Africa's bowling. I mean, Ningiri, he got so emotional when he took Virat Kohli's wicket, and you really do feel for someone like that who's, that person's put their heart and soul. And I'm not saying every player doesn't. Yep. But when you get to see raw, pure emotions, it feels nice. It feels like a real game. It feels like real people are playing it.
It actually does, because you know that a Dale Steyn will go, and there'll be a day that he'll go and run through the opposition. You know that someone like Mohammad Shami, after 4 innings, he finally got his bearings right. He got those wickets. But when you see someone that young make his debut, bowl as well as he did, he was always said to have that raw pace, was bowling at 138, 140 kilometers an hour. But the way he got the ball to seam around, he didn't get the Kohli wicket in the first innings, but in the second innings, that delivery to get Kohli. Obviously, it kept a little low, so unfortunately for Kohli, that did not go too well for him. But he got the ball to swing around, to seam around. Bumrah got the wicket of Markram in the first innings, where the ball kept low, but more importantly, jacked back into him. A very similar delivery to the Bumrah one. And Bumrah, we saw he made his debut in the previous game, and he has done so well that he has become one of the better bowlers in the team. Similarly, it was good to watch the way Nigri got first Kohli out, and then the rest of the team, 6 wickets in that innings.
You spoke of Bumrah, and I think it was really nice to see Yorkers in a Test match.
It was no doubt about it.
A nice, refreshing change there, and that's one of the things. I'm going back to India here, but India did take a couple of good, quick wickets, and then that's the thing. South Africa managed to get those partnerships, and I think that's been the real difference between the two teams.
I think India did well to restrict them to the 330 that they did, because they had gotten to a good start on that very flat surface, which deteriorated over time. So if you look at, as I said even earlier, losing was not a problem. On that pitch, chasing in the 4th innings was never going to be easy. A score that they were chasing to it was never going to be easy. It was like chasing a 280 in India, and Indian bowlers would have had the same result. But the point was not about India losing. The problem here was the way they went about their business with the selections, with the way the run-outs, the dropped catches, the misfields a lot of occasions. It was not what you expect from a number 1 team. It's not what you expect out of a top 4 or 5 nation in the Test match world.
Yeah, you don't expect this, but Suneer, what do you expect from the third Test?
I'm not the manager. I'm not the
like
coach.
I'm pleading at you.
Exactly. Well, for starters, I would say that use this opportunity to think about the England series. I know the England series is 6 months away. I know that the conditions will be different,
Yeah.
but at least to get the mindset of getting the selection right, to choose your 12 players who are your top 12 players from where you select the best 11 for the conditions, and you back those players. So if you think that Rahul is your number one opener, you back him ahead of Dhawan. If you think Rahul and Dhawan need to open, then yeah, back the two of them and drop Vijay. Whatever is the case, you back those players and you play them over a sustained period of 3 or 4 test matches.
But wouldn't Virat Kohli argue, as he did in the press conference, that he backs the players that have been chosen to deliver the results?
Yes.
But I will agree with you also, because just the way for anything, momentum's really important. And if a player feels insecure about his position, how does that player then feel
When we talk about backing, I mean, a lot of people asked him that question during the press conference, is it your best 11? Now, Kohli replied what he did. What do you think is our best 11? Well, to an extent, I do understand that Kohli would have a best 11 in his mind. He probably rates Rohit Sharma higher than Rahane given the form. I don't agree with it. I think Rahane needed to be there irrespective of what the form was. But the point here is that you can't chop and change every test match. Going into that first game, you expected a playing 11. Probably you want one change if there are injuries, if there is someone really woefully out of rhythm, you expect that. Making so many changes at the start of the first game, then you make so many changes at the start of the second game. Now you're 2-0 down. Who can blame Kohli if he makes a lot of changes again? And as you said, there is no momentum then. No momentum for the players, no momentum for the bowlers, no rhythm for the bowlers. What do? Do you now drop one of these 3 bowlers and bring Bhuvneshwar Kumar back? If so, who do you drop? That's a big question, because Shami came into his own in that second innings. He's taken 4 innings to get those 4 wickets. Ishant Sharma did a reasonable job. He kept maintaining that pressure, did not concede too many. Bumrah has been probably the best seamer. Ashwin, well, you need a batsman at number 7. I would personally not have played Ashwin for the first match given the conditions, and if the conditions are very similar here, I would not play Ashwin again. I'll have a fourth seamer coming in, and that also probably adds to the batting. But then, what do you do when you have dug that grave yourself?
Suneer, let's just conclude now, because I know we can all keep discussing the same points again and again.
Till the cows come home, as they say.
And we'll never get an answer.
We'll never get an answer. We'll get the answer at the toss.
Yes, and even that will probably lead us to more,
More
questions. So, right, I know I'm asking you the question which probably doesn't have an answer again, is what's going to happen?
About what?
The
sun will rise. The sun will rise tomorrow again. We'll go back home.
The third test.
Third test match. Johannesburg. If the pitch is as you expect a Johannesburg pitch to be, we did not expect what happened at the Centurion pitch. Everyone was surprised. In fact, Kohli at the toss was the most surprised of them all. I think Kohli didn't expect that pitch to play the way it did, and I think if he had, he might have even played 2 spinners. But I don't expect the same to happen. If it is your usual typical Johannesburg pitch, it's at an altitude, the ball will move around, and that means, logically, by Kohli's logic, Bhuvneshwar Kumar should come into the match. Who does he replace? Is something I wouldn't hazard to guess. It could be Ashwin. It could be one of the 3 seamers. Personally, I would have Bhuvneshwar Kumar coming in for Ashwin. Ashwin adds that batting element, but whether Ashwin's batting in those conditions is good enough to consider him as a number 7, number 8, I'm again not very sure. So that's one change. I would play Rahane instead of Rohit Sharma. That 40 aside, Rohit Sharma has looked like a dead duck. And I wouldn't have Rohit Sharma coming in my playing 11.
Openers?
My openers would be the same, Rahul and Vijay. Vijay, I'm a little worried about the way he's been nicking balls, and he got a start in that first innings of the second game, but then a lazy shot of Keshav Maharaj to get out. Kohli showed us how to cut the ball against a spinner on a pitch which was not assisting him at that stage. Vijay was too lazy at that stage, which I'm sure he would have worked on. the big question for me would be whether Pujara plays, because I have a feeling, I have a sense here that Kohli will spring a surprise. Rohit Sharma stays, Pujara gets dropped,
going to say that too.
and Rahane comes in at number 3, and I hope that doesn't happen. Pujara has not had a great series, but you back your number 3, who has played very well. I know his stats outside Asia are not great, but you don't drop him just because of that, because it's not like Rohit Sharma's stats are great outside Asia. It's not like KL Rahul's stats are great. It's not like Dhawan's stats are great. So when you're looking at stats outside Asia, you got to keep backing the players that you have in the squad. So you play that same lineup. I would continue with Parthiv Patel. I wouldn't bring in Dinesh Karthik, and the only reason for that is I think both their batting and keeping are on similar lines. So it's not as if one of them gives us a much better option as a batsman or as a keeper. So I would probably have Parthiv Patel in my 11 as well.
Now we'll know if all that's gone to plan, Suneer, for you.
It will never go to plan with Kohli.
It won't. And anything for South Africa? Do you think they'll be making...
They won't be making any change from me.
They shouldn't. If they do, then I think we'll be doing the same thing.
Injuries aside, I don't think there's any change expected from the South African lineup. Dale Steyn was injured in the first game, and he got replaced by a bowler who got the man of the match in the previous match. No changes there. Dean Elgar finally managed to get some runs at the top of the order. He struggled, but he got those runs, so I'm pretty sure he would be back. Quinton de Kock played a couple of innings which surprised me. I think he's a very good batsman. He showed us in the first innings of the first game as well. A good batsman. There's a game going on here
there's a wicket, quite obviously.
Shivaji Park. But I wouldn't change anything for South Africa. I think it's as obvious as it can get.
Brilliant. And we'll probably see another great innings from AB de Villiers in doing well again, I guess.
And Virat Kohli as well.
That
was a brilliant innings in the first match. I think that's overshadowed by everything that happened, but that Kohli innings of 150 was probably one of his best innings. Incidentally, it was his highest score in a test match that India has lost.
Ouch. I hope he surpasses that
and India wins.
And India wins. Yes, so we can wipe off this particular stat, at least from memory. But that's about it, and we should be back at the end of the third test in hope of previewing the ODI series.
The ODIs, the T20s, and the women's T20s.
The women's T20s, I am so looking forward to that. I'm like, that's what we're gonna do.
That's what we're gonna do.
Perfect. See you guys soon. Do like, do subscribe, do share, do comment, do all of those awesome things for us. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.